There is a story that I will be covering in some detail later. You may have heard that Sarah Palin had said at some point that Africa was a country and not a continent. It turns out to be an entire lie. The New York Times has finally reported it as a lie. They could have reported this. It is so flimsy, the basis of where it's from. They could have done this during the campaign, but so be it. The Los Angeles Times had reported it as true. MSNBC had reported it as true. And the New Republic had reported it as true, all based on a made-up blog. I was saying to Alan prior to the show that we are an opinion show, and I do not recall, with all of the immersion that we do in the Internet, I do not recall us conveying to you something injurious to our ideological opponents that was not true at any time since the Internet was developed. It is not hard, my friends. It is not hard to find out if something you read on the Internet is true. You find out where the sources are, and if the source turns out to be another blog, forget it. The blog has to be based on something. You have to know the person, at least, if there is no other basis in mainstream media. It's not hard. And we're an opinion show, and we never fell into that. However, MSNBC, the Los Angeles Times, and the New Republic so ache to discredit the Republicans that their normal fact-checking is not done. The Los Angeles Times was so in the tank for Barack Obama. Which tank was that? The M4? Forgive me. I know I'm going to annoy some people. Is in the tank mean a tank of water or a military tank? It's in the tank of water? Well, that's not good. Anyway, they were so much so that they would not even release, I should say, this video that they had of Barack Obama celebrating at this Palestinian government mouthpiece, Rashid Khalidi's going away party at which Bill Ayers was present, and undoubtedly embarrassing toasts were made by all present. You may recall that was we urged, among others, that the LA Times release it. But look, folks, if I can live with the mainstream news media being democratic, I can. I can't live with the lie that they're not. I told you, truth is the issue to me, not what your politics are. Just acknowledge we are here to get the people we like elected, end of issue. That's okay. That's what they do in Europe. The European press acknowledges its political affiliations or its political prejudices. So should ours. Shame, huge shame. Well, MSNBC is a caricature of news. So leave aside. I expect nothing. I expect more from the LA Times and from the New Republic. So they reported this lie about Sarah Palin, which was meant to feed this, she doesn't know anything notion, which was built up from within 5 minutes of her being named by John McCain to be his running mate. We'll talk about that later. It's almost, if it would be humorous, it was a joke, a practical joke blog, which anybody could have uncovered if they just went into it. The guy wasn't even hiding that it was a joke. Because there's far more civility on the right than on the left, that's why. That's why they have to make up the lies about all of the, remember, the kill 'em lies that were spread by the left media, which is redundant, in the McCain campaign. Those were all lies. The latest lie, now uncovered by, or at least acknowledged by the New York Times, is that Sarah Palin never, ever, 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 ever said that Africa was a country, not a continent. It's all made up, but it was reported by the media, including, by the way, which I did not acknowledge in the first hour only because I hadn't seen that part or forgot about that part, which is I beg your forgiveness. Fox News even reported that. But in the other cases, it was moved by, in their case, it was sheer, utter, and total incompetence and desire to, I guess, report something sensational, which is bad enough. In the case of the New Republic, MSNBC, and the Los Angeles Times, it was because they wanted to give Sarah Palin a bad name. She was declared stupid within 5 minutes of being named the vice presidential nominee. This is from today's New York Times. It was among the juicier post-election recriminations. Fox News Channel quoted an unnamed McCain campaign figure as saying that Sarah Palin did not know that Africa was a continent. Who would say such a thing? On Monday, the answer popped up on a blog and popped out of the mouth of David Schuster, an MSNBC anchor. Turns out it was Martin Eisenstadt, a McCain policy advisor, who has come forward today to identify himself as the source of the leaks, Mr. Schuster said. Trouble is, Martin Eisenstadt doesn't exist. Can you imagine that? That MSNBC would say that? Would report as a news item a man who doesn't exist as an aide to John McCain? I understand why those who are on the left and want to feel good about themselves would watch MSNBC. I do. Makes perfect sense. Want to feel good? You watch the news presented in a way that makes you feel good about yourself. But if you want news, I don't know why you would watch MSNBC. Be that as it may, man doesn't exist. His blog does, but it's a put-on, the New York Times notes. The think tank where he is a senior fellow, the Harding Institute for Freedom and Democracy, is just a website. The TV clips of him on YouTube are fakes. And the claim of credit for the Africa anecdote is just the latest ruse by Eisenstadt, who turns out to be a very elaborate hoax that has been going on for months. MSNBC, which quickly corrected the mistake, has plenty of company in being taken in by the Eisenstadt hoax, including the New Republic and the Los Angeles Times. The New Republic got taken in by another anti-Republican hoax. Indeed, that case was an anti-American hoax about how the military was a bunch of massacring Boers, and by an by a member of the armed forces himself. Anyway, that turned out to be fake too. The New Republic has deteriorated in my lifetime. I used to advocate it as a good example of something to be read left of center. It's getting harder to do that. Yes, they say the blame lies not with them, that is the hoaxsters, but with the shoddiness in the traditional news media and especially the blogosphere. I agree with that. An MSNBC spokesman, Jeremy Gaines, explained the network's misstep by saying someone in the newsroom received the Palin item in an email message from a colleague and assumed it had been checked out. That's how they report news at MSNBC? You got an email from a colleague? The explanation is actually a little scarier. Folks, I want to tell you something. If I reported you the emails from people I trust that have been forwarded to me in the course of my time, I would report to you untruths on a weekly basis. I receive so many juicy rumors and things that are declared as fact all the time. We are batting, I will say this, we are batting 1,000 in this arena. We have never reported to you, to the best of my memory. If you remember otherwise, please let me know. I'll certainly take this back and say I was once taken in too.